Crashing my car was never part of the plan, especially not in my first month after getting my license. But there I was, fingers trembling on the steering wheel, heart pounding in my ears, and a wave of panic crawling up my spine. The crash had been minor, but the damage to my dignity was massive. I watched as the driver of the other car stepped out, moving with an unhurried grace, as if nothing in the world could shake her. My stomach flipped when I realized she was, without a doubt, the most striking woman I had ever seen. Her heels clicked firmly against the asphalt, her fingers held her phone with effortless poise, and her gaze. God, that gaze. Piercing, assessing, utterly self-assured. I wanted to look away, to disappear, but at the same time, some strange force kept me rooted to the spot, staring at her like a teenager with zero control over her own heartbeat. "Are you okay?" Her voice was low and composed, but there was a hint of amusement hidden in it. I'm so sorry." My voice came out higher than I wanted, and I swallowed hard. I was distracted and I noticed. The corner of her mouth curved into a teasing smile. My face burned. This was my first accident, and of course, I had to crash into someone who looked like she had just walked out of a movie where people like me didn't even exist. Miley. That was the name I saw on the document she handed me to exchange insurance information. Do you always get this nervous, or just when you crash into cars driven by complete strangers? I blinked, unsure if she was mocking me or just being playful. I'm not nervous. She arched a brow, as if she could see right through my lie. My gaze dropped to her hands, long fingers effortlessly holding her phone. She didn't seem the least bit worried about the damage to her car, or the possibility that I was a reckless driver. Her interest seemed to be in me. The air thickened. I don't know how to explain what happened in that moment, but something shifted. It was as if an invisible force pulled us toward the same point, as if some silent energy made everything else around us fade into irrelevance. She looked at me in a way no one ever had before. I should have looked away, should have broken the moment, but I couldn't. And then, without warning, as if gravity had done its job, our lips met. It was impulsive, intense. My heart raced, but my mind went completely silent. I no longer knew anything about traffic rules, car crashes, or what was right or wrong. All I knew was that Miley was holding my waist with firm hands. Her scent was intoxicating, and for some reason, that kiss felt like the most inevitable thing in the world. But then, she pulled away. Reality came crashing back in an instant. The city noise returned to my ears, the honking, the voices, the stares. I saw her eyes darken, a flicker of hesitation flashing across her face. What had been pure confidence a second ago now seemed torn apart by sudden doubt. She took a step back. Her voice was hesitant, almost lost. This shouldn't have happened. My chest tightened. I watched as an invisible wall went up between us. She blinked a few times, as if trying to convince herself that this had been a mistake. And then, without another word, she got into her car and drove away. I stood there, frozen in the middle of the street, my lips still tingling, unsure if I had just lived through a car accident or an emotional disaster. The next day dragged on with unbearable slowness. I knew I had to go about my routine, pretend everything was normal, but it was impossible. Every second felt stretched, as if the universe itself was forcing me to face what I was feeling. And then, when I least expected it, my phone buzzed. Miley. My heart slammed against my ribs. She had made a decision, and I had no idea if I was ready to hear it. When I arrived at the park, Miley was already there. She wore something simple, jeans, a long-sleeved dark top. But still, she exuded that magnetic presence that made me feel small and completely out of control. She saw me approaching and let out a breath, like she was relieved I had come. Thank you for coming. Did you think I wouldn't?
Texto padrão.
I don't know. She let out a dry, humorless chuckle. I'm not sure of anything right now. That was when I took a step forward. I don't know much about anything, Miley, but I know what I felt yesterday, and I know you felt it too. She looked at me like I had just said something dangerous. Does that mean we should take the risk?
It means it's probably too late to pretend it didn't happen. The kiss that followed was different this time. No urgency, no rush. Just the quiet certainty that no matter the challenges ahead, something strong had been planted between us. And maybe, just maybe, it was worth finding out where it would lead.